Get ready, Staten Island.
The Ferry Hawks are back at SIUH Community Park July 7th to the 12th for a 6-game series against the High Point Rockers. Wednesday, July 8th with first pitch at 6:30. It's Woo Wednesday in collaboration with the Wu-Tang Clan. The Ferry Hawks transform into the Shaolin Hawks. Thursday, July 9th, first pitch is at 6:30. It's Thirsty Thursday with $5 Bud and Bud Light drafts.
Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats.
Welcome to a new era of baseball's great spectacle, the T-Mobile Home Run Derby, live on Netflix. The biggest sluggers in baseball put their talents to the test on All-Star Weekend. Raw power meets star power. Big swagger meets bigger slams. And you don't swing to make contact. You swing to make history. Watch the T-Mobile Home Run Derby live on Netflix this Monday, July 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific.
Katz and Cosby, entertaining and informative
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, John, everybody is keeping an eye on the New York governor's race, and it's going to be interesting. There have been a whole bunch of different polls out there, and joining us is pollster Ryan Munce, and Ryan's group, this is Coefficient Polling Firm, was the one that really had it spot on with the Lee Zeldin Hochul race a number of years ago. So what do they have now? Ryan, it's great to have you here. This is Rita Cosby and John and the gang. What is your new poll revealing?
Hi, Rita. Hi, John. Thanks for having us. Well, among other things, it's revealing that much of the public polling and call it common sense is wrong in the state of New York. The race is, as the state has been, much closer than it's assumed to be. Right now, we have the race within 6 points. Hochul is deeply unpopular. That much is pretty much indisputed. Even in Siena, some of the other public polling shows a similar story as it relates to Hochul's own both credibility, favorability, approval, et cetera. And so there's blood in the water, so to speak. Definitely a closer race than people think.
What do you attribute that to? Is there anything that you're seeing that's closing the gap between the two?
Well, there's a number of things, and I would say top of the list, I've already mentioned, is just Hochul's unpopularness throughout the state for a number of different reasons. But beyond that, some of the other undercurrents, there is a real concern throughout most of the state of kind of this rise of Democratic socialist candidates, self-ascribed socialist candidates, and some really relatively inflammatory rhetoric, not about candidates, but from candidates themselves in terms of their own platform positions, their own kind of philosophy of what they believe government should be and the role it should take in our lives. And overwhelmingly, it is kind of reverberating through the state. I mean, 55% of voters are telling us that they are either somewhat or very concerned about this kind of new shift in Democratic socialist candidates. 45% of those overall very concerned. So there's a real trend there. And beyond that, it is kind of the third bucket of the driver of the competitiveness of the race is New York. We saw this in both 22 and 24. They tend to kind of buck the trend of some of the regular political waves, red wave, blue waves that we see kind of on average across the state. Because New York's a different place. There's less concern over some of the social issues, reproductive issues. A lot of the same drivers of intensity on the left just don't exist there in the state of New York. And so they are really focused on economic issues, economic policy, inflation, cost of living. And so it comes down to who do they really trust more to steer the ship in the right direction.
Well, I mean, you're the first pollster to come up with this. And tell the people why they should feel that you're correct and other pollsters are wrong.
Sure, and we take that as a badge of honor, and it's not uncommon. The kind of the preponderance of a lot of the academic polling houses, have a long tradition of a number of things, including missing results, being inaccurate dramatically to the left in a lot of cases. And part of it is just their methodology, who they're talking to, when, especially. If you, for example, if you're doing very long surveys that require an American to talk to a stranger for 30 or 45 minutes at dinner time about their intimate most attitudes and opinions, you're not going to get very many normal people to actually participate in that poll. And if you're only polling not normal people, you're probably going to miss the result. And so how we actually collect data, collect opinions is through a mix of different communication tools, text messaging, phone call interviews. We'll call at different times of the day. We'll give, frankly, everybody an equal chance of actually being represented in the poll. And so that's really the biggest reason, is just that approach to methodology. We're a lot more inclusive, you could say, in terms of letting folks into the data. The other is just kind of how we make sure that we're talking to the right people from a demographic and political standpoint. There are a tremendous number of registered Democrats in the state of New York that, by any means you might measure, except for what's on their actual voter registration card, they don't behave like Democrats. They don't vote like Democrats, but that still is their actual representation. It really started to shift in 2016. We saw it the same way with a lot of working class neighborhoods, union neighborhoods, folks that work for a living and would like to keep more of their own money, really starting to vote more Republican. And if you don't know how to identify a registered Democrat that actually votes like a Republican, you're going to wildly undercount those Republicans, or I should say those Democrats who are voting like Republicans, and you are going to unnecessarily inflate kind of the core base of the Democratic Party today that is really more focused on those social issues. We're running
out of time because we have to take a break.
Yeah, go ahead.
Last question. It's another pollster in the last week or so has come out that there's an 8-point gap between Governor Hochul and Bruce Blakeman. Are you saying that you think it's much closer?
So we have it at a 6-point gap right now. I've seen some polls have it as big as 20 points spread, but where it really sits today, I do think it's probably in that 5, 6, 7, 8 range in terms of the true electorate. And frankly, the only reason it's not closer is because Blakeman isn't as well known. I think there's a good chunk of independent and even right-leaning voters that just haven't really developed an opinion of him yet.
Thank you so much for coming on, and let's give it a couple of weeks. Please come on in about a couple of weeks, next time you have a poll.
Anyone can sell electronics. At Electronics Expo, they do more than sell products. They design, install, and support complete technology solutions. From home theaters and whole home audio to lighting, shades, automation, networking, security cameras, and premium entertainment systems. For over 22 years, they've helped thousands of homeowners experience technology at its very best. See the difference for yourself. Visit their Wayne or Paramus stores in New Jersey or shop now at electronicsexpo.com.